Illustrator, Adobe in general. I currently work for the Recreation Wellness Center, and I'm one of their marketing assistants. But I also do a lot of freelance work and kind of jobs that kind of pop up. Some like people get killed over there. Projects. So that's kind of what I do.
I'm Andrew. I graduated last December from UCF, and I actually have my own business. I'm a freelancer, and that's what I do right now.
Cool, and I'm Phil Santos. I work here at the Launchpad as a community developer, and I'm also an artist. I hold a few hats. I'm the founder of a monthly underground dance party called Body Talk. So I do all of the booking. I communicate with artists regularly. We have graphic designers like Daniel sometimes. Bernie is taking photos for us. So I'm on both sides. I am an artist myself. I'm a DJ, and I book artists for gigs. So I can speak from both perspectives. And I think the format today is going to be much like seminar. It's going to be very casual. It's going to be a conversation between you guys and us, and we can just open the floor for questions right now. You guys have any? Who painted that?
I painted that. That's my last piece. This is my most popular one. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so it takes me like probably about a week with my other job that I was working. Now I'm doing this full time, but it's what I love to do. And I put them on t-shirts and phone cases, and people buy them for their walls. So it gets pretty diverse.
I have a question. How do you get your artwork out there? Like, how do you get your name known, and how do you keep it? How do you make it stand out versus other people who are doing something similar?
That's awesome. Directed me?
Yes.
Alright, well, what I primarily do is social media.
Okay.
One of the great things as an artist, if you are an artist, no matter what you do, I think that's an amazing, pretty amazing product that you have. People like always think of starving artists,
Yeah.
but that's really awesome. And today, you can't look at it the same as people used to look at it. If you pretty much don't just focus on the artwork. If you have a little bit of marketing, because I went to school, my minor is marketing. So I pretty much use that knowledge to put myself out there. I network a lot with other artists and put them on my profiles and stuff like that. So they shout me out sometimes. And another thing is the process. What I do is I post like major drawing canvas, and then I'll post, I drew on the canvas, and then I'll post like the print later. And I realized that a lot of people who are interested in this, they can't do this. So they're really interested in the process. And once you get them invested in the process for free, then they'll want to invest in this process afterwards. So they're already like, oh man, I saw that happen. And then they'll buy the t-shirt, stuff like that. So just post the process sometimes if you can. Just whatever you can do. I don't try to do too much right now because it's just going to keep people up with it. But a lot of social media.
On the topic of social media, what do you feel like, I guess for all of you guys, what do you feel is the most productive platform? Because I know like there's TV and art, all these other little blogs and stuff. What do you feel is like the best to get your product sold and stuff?
Yes, please.
I usually just use Facebook or Instagram. I try not to like flood people with my work. If I make something that I think is particularly good, I'll put it out there. But I don't want to be one of those. I feel like to a certain point you don't want to market yourself too much because people start seeing it and it just becomes much. I think what's really important for me as far as getting freelance work, it's about the people you know. And a lot of people focus on working on their craft, be it music, fine art, photography, but in reality, a big part of the business you get is how many people know you. I think a lot of people need to also work on how they communicate with others, like just making a lot of friends. You don't need to see every time you meet a new person as a new business venture. Just be genuinely interested in that person, and then they might see something you post on Facebook and be like, oh well, Daniel's a really nice guy. He seems like he could help me out with this logo, and I've gotten a lot of work just through being that nice guy who happens to do art as well.
What was the question? How to get work? Or which social media channels to use?
Mhm.
That really depends on your medium. I mean, obviously, if you're a musician, you're gonna have a lot more, like, you're gonna have a community on SoundCloud. If you're a visual artist, you're using Instagram, using DeviantArt, you might be using Flickr if you do photography. So it really depends on what you're trying to focus on with your art.
Yeah, I think it's important to consider who you're trying to reach as well. So if you're using something like Flickr for photography, then you're appealing to other photographers. So you're not going to get someone asking you, per se, to do a modeling shoot because it's mostly other photographers who are using it. I think Facebook is a really great tool if you're able to differentiate yourself from other people because it has all of these tools built into it. A Facebook page has analytics. It's got the messenger system caked right in. It's got a link to your main page so people can follow that to all sorts of other payloads to your work.
Did you say that, I'm sorry if I missed this, did you say you sell a lot of your paintings?
Yeah, it's getting a lot busier now. I just launched this summer.
Okay.
So yeah, it's getting out there. So the more people that hear about it.
If any of you guys wanted to answer this or not, that's okay. But like, how much would you guys say you guys make, like, an average, or any of you? If you don't want to answer.
I'm still about a junior in college, so right now a lot of the work I do, I could probably be getting paid much more, but I'm trying to. So I said I work for the Recreation Wellness Center, and they pay about $9 an hour. I'm getting way underpaid, 9%. As I mentioned before, I work with Phil. I've made some designs. I'm working right now on a projection art, which is coming out incredible, and I do it for free. And the reason I'm doing it for free is because that's the work I want to do, and nobody's going to pay me to do something I've never done before. So I'm using kind of Phil's projects as a way to kind of cultivate this kind of work experience that otherwise I wouldn't get. And so maybe in the future, I'll have a job that pays well, but it's also something I'm passionate about. So that's.
What might be more appropriate, something we'd feel more comfortable answering is maybe per piece or per project, what your average ticket is, like if you charge somebody for an event sponsor, or if you kind of have an average ticket of different things versus how much you make. Sometimes that feels kind of personal, but maybe your average ticket on the kind of things you're doing, like Anne-Marie, what are you doing in terms of your different products?
For sure.
If I wanted that in my house.
It depends on the size, really. But these, I would say these go for anywhere from 2 to 500. Sometimes even like a discount on it's like 160 or something. And then the t-shirts and everything is online through my website and stuff, and those are like 25 and stuff like that. The phone things are like 35.
Okay.
And I think that there's a common theme between artists who are working artists and are getting paid, and you'll see that they're doing two types of work. Like when Daniel does work for Body Talk, like he's doing it for a passion project, so he might not get paid as much because it's really what he wants to be doing. And you'll find that when artists are working for other friends, it's almost like a trade, it's almost like a barter. But then when someone comes at you who you don't know, you're probably charging a premium.
Yeah.
I see it all the time as a booking agent when I'm booking artists. If I have an in, if I'm friends with them or I'm friends with someone that's in their network, they're going to ask a lot less than if I'm just cold calling them.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
You'll find like 2 tiers of prices.
I think it's important to consider too that in the terms of arts, it's kind of a feast or famine environment. I mean, there are a lot of the famous artists who you're familiar with who are making lots of money doing what they're doing, and then there's this legion of people that you don't know who are struggling to be seen and do their work. And if you're doing it for money, then I think you're going to be stressed out because it's hard to take what you do, take your skills, and show people that you should be compensated for them. But if you're doing it because it's something you genuinely enjoy, for the first year and a half, I was making very little money taking pictures because everyone has a camera nowadays. Who wants to pay me for doing something they can do with their cell phone? But it was as I made the connections, as I talked to people, as I developed my skills doing things that I enjoyed, going to festivals, taking pictures at concerts, I had the portfolio that I could show people that, yes, what I was doing was significant enough that I deserved to be compensated, that I should be paid for what I'm doing. And so that's something you should also consider. You're going to have to invest not only your time, in doing what you love, sometimes a lot of it for a little respect, but also the money to get the equipment or whatever it is you need to do what you're doing. So.
Have any of you like changed or adapted what you first set out to do because you found a way to make it work better or more successfully?
If you haven't, you're all liars. That's really interesting. Tell us about your journey, what you started with and where you're at now. How have you pivoted and iterated?
I personally, as a DJ, I have played gigs that paid 10 times more than what I usually do and have not enjoyed them and just kind of stopped seeking them out. And I guess it's not selling out, it's just I was doing a service for someone, I'm doing a wedding, I'm doing a private party, whatever, and I'm getting paid well, but it's not what I'm passionate about right now, so I always see it as an opportunity. It's always there, that network is there, but generally I focus on the stuff I'm really, really passionate about, and I'm starting to break through now where I'm working on getting a club night downtown every week that would pay pretty well, and I would be playing the music that I really, really love. But it's taken a lot longer to do it that passionate way.
Like, it aligns very well with that. I remember I wanted to share a story. I saw an interview with Denzel Washington, and he was explaining how his first years in the career of movie making, in like acting. And he said someone spoke to him very wise words and says the first 10 movies you make will determine the career you will have. And with that advice, he threw down some well-paid movies, but they were not like the actings that he wanted. He took some really low, uninteresting movies, and then later that's what really skyrocketed him towards the future, which is amazing.
Yeah, that definitely resonates. Do you guys have any analogs to that with your art?
I think there needs to be a little bit of a compromise. At least there was for me. Maybe Gil had a different experience. But for example, I came to UCF with the expectation that I was going to major in fine art. And I thought, I remember one day, it's a pretty sad story. One day I was like, let's just go on Craigslist real fast and see what there is. And I remember just graphic design. And that's not to say I'm not passionate about graphic design, but I still do fine art stuff on the side. But sometimes people, you need to make a compromise if you want to make money. And I see graphic design as both a business and a passion. It just depends. It's a project by project thing. So maybe on the side I can pursue more of the fine arts. Maybe do a little bit of painting on the side. But yeah, sometimes I take projects that I'm not 100% passionate about. When I'm working at the Recreation and Wellness Center, I'm very passionate about their goals, about their mission to bring like healthy, active lifestyles, whether it be through in the gym or outdoors or whatever. But sometimes I get projects like I'm about to work on a disc course. I've never played disc course. I didn't even know it existed until this year. But I'm still doing it, and I'm still gonna try my hardest. But sometimes you need to make compromises like that.
Yeah, for sure. I actually grew up doing art, but I kind of was running away from it just because, like I was saying, the starving artist mentality. And when I got to college, I probably changed my major like 100 times. And I graduated, my major is like computer science and art, my minor is marketing. And I pursued this, don't get discouraged, because I couldn't find a job doing computers, and I thought that's what's gonna make me money. So I was like, so why not pursue my passion? And then when I started linking up and reaching out to all these artists, not expecting anything back and just kind of like shouting them out and stuff like that, that's when my breakthrough kind of hit. So, don't be discouraged. And of course, I did all this market research. Like, I think people would they would want to buy it, and when I launched, like, it was totally opposite. So they lean more towards like t-shirts and stuff because not a lot of people have like $500 just buy my music. So of course, like you do have to digress sometimes, but it's all good, as long as you're doing what you love.
I wanted to say something back to what you're saying, compromises. I think we all have already made the biggest one by coming to college and not actually pursuing full-on our passion. But it's basically trying to find the time and keeping up with that passion and as trying to make it more than a hobby. And basically, I came to college and studied engineering rather than going to go tour the U.S. with my band. And so now that sort of has taken over, and now I'm working on a different business venture. But it's always about keeping up with what you're passionate about, and maybe you can start getting paid for it. And that's why I'm here today. It's not really related to my current venture, but just to not forget that I love music and recording music and can still possibly make it something one day. And I was talking to someone last night, and they started out touring the U.S. with their band, and now they have a successful app development company. But not everyone's lucky that way. So I'll probably work backwards and have a business, and then eventually go tour the U.S. or the world. But yeah, I guess that's the biggest thing. Is I mean, obviously everyone's here because they're passionate about something with art, and I guess compromising is what really we got to focus on.
Don't be discouraged if your career isn't something you're passionate about. Just because I always say you don't necessarily need to be in love with your job. Just have a job that maybe sometimes pays the bills, hopefully pays the bills. But never like on the side give up what you're passionate about. And who's to say that eventually your little side projects start gaining a little bit more attention, and all of a sudden you're on a rock band touring to Switzerland. I don't know. It's a personal trip.
I think it's important to consider that, opportunities come in unexpected places. Things sometimes appear out of seemingly nowhere. And with the creative arts especially, I think there's a lot of attrition because there is a lot of discouragement because it's hard to pursue something, sacrificing your job or the realities of life. But I think if you stick with it long enough, then you're bound to at least achieve some degree of happiness. So if you like something enough, keep doing it, even though it's frustrating.
Dr. Metcalf was in here, and I don't know how many of you were there the day he was in. He's going to be back in on the 29th talking about bootstrapping versus raising capital, and there's going to be kind of a debate. But he said something so magical. He was working at NASA. He was kind of a digital specialist. And he was working at NASA, and he was I happened on some patent and some license stuff, and then created this next thing. And since then, he has had the paradigm. He lives his paradigm from both and he calls them twofers. And he immerses himself in environments that will be catalytic to his passion. And he refuses to accept that a life can't be both and. And he believes actually that you should put yourself in environments that provide you twofers. You actually get both, and that we need to start changing the paradigm because this is not a one-job economy. We are going into a new world, and you have all the right to be at that passionate sweet spot, but you might have to put yourself in catalytic environments that allow you both and until you can do maybe more and, right? But we really have to embrace a new kind of thinking, a new paradigm, and shrug off the starving artist and not allow that to be it, or I have to sacrifice everything. What if both and? What if there are twofers? And what if there are places that could be catalytic to your passion while paying you?
I mean, I think a big thing is that if you want to go do something, just go do it. Don't wait for reasons to start. Just start now. If you want to take pictures, come to my paper. I'll let you take pictures. I mean, go paint, go make music. You have to actually do the thing to be the thing. You can talk about being an artist, but you're not an artist if you're not actually, producing content, making work. And that should be, regardless of the money, regardless of your mood, something that you always keep in mind. Always producing, always making something.
Do you have a question?
Do any of you guys work on a team? And if you do, would you rather be in a team or like solo?
As an artist?
Yeah, as an artist.
I don't work on a team, and I don't know if I could. For my event business, I do work on a team, and it needs to happen that way. So you mean like in a band?
Yeah, like in an art, would it be better just to be solo?
Do you guys work on teams?
I mean, I painted this myself. So I mean, it's me, but I feel like at some point I would love to have someone do the marketing for me, or just collaborate with people that can spread the business in positive ways. Because it does get overwhelming when you're doing everything by yourself. So yeah, for now I'm solo.
I have worked on teams and I've worked solo before, and there's kind of a trade-off with both. Both have their pros and cons. Obviously, when you're working by yourself, there's a lot more like, I want to do this, I'm going to do it. Whereas when a team, you have to form a dialogue. Well, I'm not so sure we should use that font. Or I'm not sure this is the composition I'm looking for. Maybe this isn't the message we're trying to find. But the great thing about working on teams is that you can achieve a lot more. For example, my specialty, like I said before, is graphic design. And I mentioned earlier that I'm working on some projection art. I'm not that great at the three-dimensional aspect, but the guy I'm working on, that's his thing. But he lacks in the graphic design department. So we come together and we create something that's way beyond our scope. Now that's a particular scenario where things are going great. But I have been on teams where it's not working. Chemistry isn't right. And I think it depends on what team you're working with. I think teams can be incredible. I think teams are great as long as you're open to ideas the other person's throwing at you, and they're open to your ideas, and it's a dialogue rather than I want my idea, and well, okay, you can have this, I can have that. So yeah, there has to be. You have to share the same vision. You have to be passionate in the same kind of way, I feel. And if not, just understanding sometimes some team projects aren't going to go great, but you still have to kind of work through it.
I think one thing for me that was actually analogous to working on a team is having a mentor and being part of a community. So not necessarily working on the same project with someone, but I'm working on my project, they're working on theirs, and we're meeting up regularly to talk. And they've been DJing for 10 years more than I have. So that's really accelerated for me. It's not quite a team.
It's a much easier way to learn too when you have people surrounding you. Like if you have a question or problem, the quickest thing to do is Google it. But sometimes when you have that person next to you, like, oh, why don't you actually try this, and that, and they answer 30 questions you didn't even know you had. And I've learned so much more. Right now at the RWC, there's 6 other people who work there, and their specialties aren't always graphic design. They're more on the marketing side. Some are more on like the social media side. And so, like somebody will be like, oh, why don't you change this, and that about posters so it targets this demographic better? I'm like, oh, no way. And then it's great. So you learn a lot more when you're on a team too, if it's the right team.
Yes, I think it's important to take advantage of the people that you look up to or respect. If you think someone's work is cool, shoot them an email, shoot them a tweet or something, say, hey, how did you do this? Or, hey, can we talk about this? Because, I think people naturally want to be helpful. And the worst that happens for your request is they just really don't say anything back, and then you're just where you started. So, no one exists in a vacuum.
Yeah, I had a question about what you said earlier. Would you say, from my experience, what I've seen is when people sometimes, I guess depending on the type of job, maybe with, your job working for YMCA, it doesn't get in the way as much, but I've seen a lot of my friends maybe take up a job still with the intention of staying true to whatever they're passionate about on the side, but it seems that usually gets overshadowed and they lose track of that. It seems like it can be a slippery slope, and especially for me, I don't know, on my situation, it's kind of funny, I'm in college right now, and my major is marketing and psychology, but as I've been in college here, I realized what I was really passionate about. I've joined an a cappella group, and I would really like to pursue that professionally as I graduate, and also something else I've been passionate about since I was younger is skateboarding. So every summer I take the summer off and go to California just to take photos for magazines or film videos. So working a full a serious job would definitely get in the way of that stuff, and it may be possible to still do those things on the side, but I feel it's really getting in the way of me actually having substantial success with those things that I really feel I'm passionate about. I was curious, like, on your opinion of that, or all of you guys.
Well, right now I think there's always time, even if it's not as much time as you want. Obviously, when I first came to UCF, I didn't have a job. I was taking fewer classes, and I wasn't really involved in too many extracurricular activities. So I just had time and time and time. Like, but now I wake up at like 7. I go to classes. I go to work. For example, I'm really passionate about rock climbing. I don't think I'll ever go. That's another thing. Like sometimes these things, as I mentioned earlier, you don't need to make careers out of these things, but they make your life. They make you happier. So they're still worth pursuing, just because you're not getting anything monetary out of it. When I rock climb, it helps because sometimes designing for me, it burns me out. I can only do so much art before it's just like the same design over and over. I need something to just kind of snap me, get me in a different frame of mind. So when I come back to design, it's still fresh. So I think keep doing your skateboard thing. I think immersion is a big part of whether or not you get that job. You taking photos and stuff. I mean, that's how I got my how I got my work with Phil. I just went to his events, Body Talk is what they're called, and I just came and I got to know Phil, and then he noticed that I was a graphic designer, and then suddenly my passion was also sort of a little bit of my job, as she mentioned earlier. And so same thing goes for the rock climbing. I've been rock climbing a lot, and so a lot of people have noticed when they add me on Facebook or something, it's like, oh wow, you do graphic design. Why don't you design a shirt for us or design a logo for us that's rock climbing related? So I've been combining the two passions. So I think you should do that. I mean, just keep kind of try to make time for your passions. Even if it's an hour, you might not have as much time as you did before, but even just like 30 minutes, you can do just a little bit of that. It'll really keep you alive.
I have 2 questions for all 4 of you. The first question is, do you feel that art, whatever your art is, whether it's photography, graphic design, music, whatever, do you feel like it's primarily self-taught? And the second question is, how do you decide or establish that you've made good art? Because I notice being in art classes where you're graded for your art, a lot of times I'll get things like, oh, this isn't quite right, or this isn't whatever, and then sometimes I'm thinking to myself, well, who actually decides what's good art and what's not? And so is that just validated by how many people like it, or how do you decide if it's good or not? Is it just you like it, so therefore it is good because I like it, or like how do you ultimately decide that for yourself? And then is it just a self-taught thing?
I think when you're talking about good and bad, you have to approach, since it's a value judgment,
right,
you have to approach what are you trying to get out of this project. If it's something you say I'm shooting a model or something, then my ideal would be that they're satisfied with the work I gave them. I mean, I could like something a lot, and it fulfills me a lot creatively, but someone else might think it's shit. And are they paying me? Well, then yes, if they think it's shit, that matters a lot. If no, well, they can go fuck themselves. So, and what was that was a 2-parter.
But did you feel like art is mostly self-taught? Like it's something you just learn by doing yourself? It's not really something that someone can just show you, and therefore you learn the skill, or is it just something you show yourself?
I'm a great believer in teaching oneself, because, I mean, you're not always going to be in a context like university where people are so willing to give you their knowledge. But like Phil and Danny were saying, having someone you respect is a great way to learn specific skills. So if you see like a usage of color or light that you really like, then it helps to go out and ask that person how they did it. But I mean, art is somewhat of an egotistical process. You're expressing an aspect of yourself. So there's only so much you can take from another person without corrupting that process. You can't copy someone totally. You have to express yourself in doing what you're doing.
I also think that fundamentally creativity is just hiding your sources really well. Art doesn't exist within a vacuum. You are influenced by things. You can't help but be influenced by things. So is it good, is it not? Can it be self-taught or not? I would think of the artists that you're really inspired by in your medium, in your craft, and learn as much as you can about them. Listen to their podcasts, read their books. That's going to accelerate you. And as far as like, how do you know if it's good or not? Can someone else tell you? As like my analog as a DJ is if people are smiling, and the more people that I make smile, whether I'm playing the music I want or the music that they want, that means I'm going to get paid. If I can make people smile as an entertainer, that means that I'm building a repertoire and a brand where people know that if you hire me, I'm going to give people a good time. Like, if you're a performer, you're in the entertainment business, you know. If I'm doing a mix at home, I've done mixes that resonate a lot with like people in Czechoslovakia and get 5,000 plays on YouTube. But that doesn't mean anything for me here because that's really far away, and that was completely self-serving art. That was, I think, really good, but it's not what the market around here was really looking for.
Well, my father was a fine artist, so yeah, I've been helping teach art class since I was like 3. But so I mean, I can say that I've been influenced by art my whole life. And I'm meeting with Pam recently. She shared something really great with me, which I think was to realize the reality of things. I think it's great to like get that influence, learn what's correct and everything like that, so that you can know what's incorrect and be bad on purpose or be different on purpose, And the way I paint is pretty unique, like all these dots and then the lines, So, I mean, it's not right per se, but people out there, there are quite a few people out there who resonate with this, who like this. So I think whatever you decide to do, however you decide to do it, there's gonna be somebody and you can reach them. Just figure out how to reach that person.
Daniel.
Okay. The what makes art good question is just like that's worth its own entire talk. I think I have a pretty short kind of way I define whether my art is good or not, and that's I think about what was my goal. Like for example, the first thing you need to know is what am I trying to create here. If I'm doing something for sports, I have to make it fast and make it competitive looking. So once you understand what you're designing for, the emotions it feels, then I go into the process of, well, how can I compose this image in a way? What kind of elements can I bring into this picture that will get that into people's minds? At the end of the day, if somebody looks at a car poster or something, it's like, oh, that looks fast, that looks like luxurious, and that was the intent, then you made successful art. As far as where I'm coming from, like the marketing position. As far as self-taught, I don't think you can really be self-taught. I mean, I think you can, like Phil was saying, there's no way you can just make art. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. Whether or not you come and you go to school for art is another story. But I think everybody, even if they're taking classes or not, should go out and pick up a book on as many different genres or art movements as possible. Because maybe you look at the Impressionist painters and you're like, wow, that's just a mess. Why that the paint is just terrible, Van Gogh sucks, don't have that paint. But you really like how the colors kind of work together. So you take a little bit of that from the Expressionist painters, the Impressionist painters. And then you just start taking little things from different art movements. And they can be stuff way far back. You don't see anything remotely close to that in today's work. But you can steal an element of this movement, an element of this movement, take a couple of your artists, your favorite artists' work today, and just kind of incorporate some of their artistic ideology into your work. And all of a sudden, you have your own thing. School is awesome because it kind of gives you these mentors where like they can kind of lead you in the right path. They can tell you, hey, maybe work on this, or maybe work on that. And they also help to introduce you to new artists or new techniques that can speed up that process. That's what I have to say.
I feel like everyone's here today because they have already know that they have some sort of artistic abilities. I think everyone has some in their own rights, and I think it's important for other people that aren't here, that don't think they're artistic, to find that they are in some ways. And once you do find it, it's easy to sort of take it and learn about it a lot easier. Like anything else in the world, like math and science, anything, you have your specific art, and you go and, exactly like Phil was saying, listen to podcasts, read their books, just like you study anything else, and that's a good way to get better at it. So I think you can teach yourself, just like with a lot of classes you end up teaching yourself anyway because your professors are no good. But with doing it yourself and knowing whether it's good or not, every time before I ever release a song, I at least have 10 people listen to it because I'm self-conscious about it. And there's things in there that you don't know that you think are good, but people might not understand it, and that could be related to pictures and or anything. You think it's good, but you're kind of focused on it because you made it, and it's your baby. So you always want to have people be like, maybe this shouldn't go there, maybe you should take that part out, and things like that. So I think it's really important to get feedback. So it's not good to be just a solo artist, an individual, and you'll never know. I mean, I guess if you get a lot of revenue, then you sort of might find out. But
I think Brandon's bringing him. He shared his talent. I think what would be amazing right now, because this will help us in our programming, know what other kind of future things we can offer to help you guys. Really quick, let's go around and just in a couple sentences, I'll do it too, everyone in the room, if you're working on anything, I think all of us are creators, I think you nailed it, but tell us what you're working on right now, really quick, what your art is, and if you needed one thing, what that would be. So it's really quick, because I think that'll give you guys some context of what to talk about at the end. It'll give me context in terms of programming here for services for you. So I'll start. I'm a writer. I've been writing for about 10 years the same book, but it is not the same book. I am now really, really close. For 2 years, I wrote every day 804 posts in a row on Hope 24/7 to become a better short writer, because if you can do a really good shitty first draft, I believe your long writing becomes better. So I'm writing a novel called, it's a creative nonfiction. It has some imaginary characters. I'm on chapter 5 of 8. I'm using an editor, and it will be done by January. I want to turn it into an adapted screenplay, so that's kind of the art of my life, is becoming a better writer, because I am really, 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 really an unpracticed, shitty writer at first. And what I need more is the consistency to be up at 5 o'clock and writing for 2 to 3 hours every morning before I show up here.
My name is Mitchell. I like to think I'm pretty passionate about music, and I've played the guitar since I was like 6th grade, and I've always jammed with a close group of friends. And they're all in music schools. I'm in business finance, but they're all in music schools, so they take it much more seriously than I do, but I still hang out with them all the time and play music with them, make music with them all the time. And I don't know the ins and outs and all the technical stuff, but I've always written songs. I like thinking about songwriting a lot. And I would just like to, I keep close contact with them and I stay jamming with them. And I want to put an album together eventually, or just get something recorded. I always just recorded stuff on my iPhone, and I just want to get something more complete together.
I'm a percussionist. I was shortly with a band that just got signed to Rise because it's a fun thing to break away from. I also yo-yo. I used to yo-yo professionally, but that doesn't get paid well at all. You go to contests, you win prize money. It's not long-term money. So I'm here to be an entrepreneur, but I'm slowly learning that I want to do more advertising. I want to understand how to get in people's heads with advertising and how to influence them. And I think my experiences with yo-yoing, it's such a small knit community, and everyone makes yo-yos themselves, actually. Sorry.
You get a yo-yo presentation. Okay, but quick, you tell us what your art is.
I actually make chainmail.
Chainmail?
Yep. This is the wristband I'm working on for a watch.
Awesome.
So I'm just looking to sell little bracelets and stuff.
Okay.
Online.
So what do you need help on?
I'm just not sure of how to market myself and how to get it into profitable business. Because right now it's just me sinking a bunch of money into materials to make rings and piece them together. and I would like to get kind of a return to help the. It's just kind of a hobby of mine that I do on the side.
Okay. We're going to go really fast because I want the panel to be able to speak to you after they hear. So tell us what you're doing and what you need next quick so you have some time for them to give you some ideas.
I'm just really interested in, fascinated by music production, and I guess I'm right now just working through the learning curve of the technology and the techniques behind it.
Okay, I'm originally trained in classical voice, so and then I did a transition to trance music and electronic music, and as I was working with some DJs from around the world, I was having a hard time keeping updates with them. So that takes me to the entrepreneurship, and that is I'm working on a platform where musicians and other any projects can be shared, and you can get the progress updates in real time.
I don't really have a specific artistic talent, but I guess I'm doing something with like quick photography and business, kind of entrepreneurship.
My passion is singing, and so like I try to put like little cover videos up on YouTube and then try to get through that. But my thing is really just like doing the motivation to like keep doing my passion while I'm also in school studying business, and then also like where to start on making networks and like getting to know people within my.
I'm actually studying to be a graphic designer. I'm passionate about art my whole life. I got to graphic design kind of recently, but just really looking at networking, finding different ways to meet different people, to actually do freelance and all that.
I draw and I paint, and I just want to learn like business techniques to kind of be able to sell my art and give it out.
I play guitar and tenor saxophone, and I write songs and I compose like instrumental pieces, and I'm just looking to put that stuff out there. My name is Trixie, and my interest is just building a makerspace, a co-op center, like an art center in general.
Oh, I'm Jennifer. My story is similar to his. I'm pursuing engineering because I like flight and airplanes a lot. But I love music so much. I've played trombone for 6 years, and I want to compose music, maybe sing a little jazz. But yeah, that's what I really want to do and put it on YouTube and things like that. But my problem is finding a way to learn how to sing better in jazz and finding people to collaborate with.
Oh. I'm Michelle. I'm a web designer, and I web design for an organization here. But like I know what to do because they tell me what to do, but I don't know how to like market myself.
My name's Anne Marie. I'm a graphic design major as well, but I'm realizing that I like illustration more than I like graphic design, even though they overlap in certain areas. And so I'd like to put my illustration out there more, whether that's posters or T-shirts, kind of like what you were saying. So I just need more of a strategy to get it out there.
Hi, my name is Tu. My passion is dance, but I've done dance events before. And I just like my biggest problem is like trying to learn how to make money, but also be able to give as much as I can to the people I'm marketing to. And that's
Amen, brother. Like, can we all just say amen? Amen.
Usually whatever I make, I try to keep a little bit for lunch and compensate my gas, and I give the rest to my staff that just volunteer out of free time. But I can't keep that up like all the time.
Right.
So I'm trying to work with that.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same as him. I dance, and I also like photography, and I also sew, so I'm kind of all over the place. and I just want to know how to like get your name out there and brand yourself.
Hi, I'm Terrence, owner of Great Matter Innovations, and I'm creating this new social media, and I'm basically here just to gain knowledge, never shy away from just learning anything I can.
My name is Matthew. My passion's music. I'm really big into hip hop actually, and that's kind of my main focus. And my biggest issue is getting like-minded individuals together, people that actually know what they're doing, like audio engineers, like people that know how to do a lot of the technical stuff. Yeah.
that's my work here, but
In his passion, right?
Yeah, no, I also have I'm also a photographer. I'm trying to brand myself, get my brand known, and also attacking like every single part of the market in both editorials for journalism purposes and nightlife, events, pretty much every aspect of photography you can imagine at once. And I don't really know.
Yeah, but what's really cool, have you seen the UCF starters page with all the starters pictures? Some of you are on it. Like I went to John and I said, humans of New York or people of New York. I called it the wrong thing because I'm always socially awkward. And so I said, that thing, I want that for UCF starters. And he basically has been doing that. So all of you are starters. You should check out with him and get on that page because that's the way to get your art out and your name out. That's the beginning. But anyway, he's done a great job.
I'm Lynette, and I'm studying computer engineering right now. And because I have a little bit of interest in math and technology, but my passion is really in art, like the arts. And like right now, my focus is photography, and I've been like diving a little bit into videography, similar to him. But like every time I try something new, I kind of get better at it. So I've done actual physical art, like watercolor or dance. I just want to get better and get out there. Specifically for my photography right now, but if something else, goes above that, then so be it.
Okay, you guys want to speak to some of the things they said? Thank you guys for sharing.
Someone mentioned branding. Branding. I can't say enough how important branding is because that's how your name spreads. Whether it's through your business card, your website, your Facebook, your Twitter, if you have a consistent brand, I see time and time again, those are the people that get paid. You stop, think about what's my brand, what's the feeling, where is this all coming from? That's a really important part of just getting your work out there in a way where people can rely on you.
I heard a lot of people talking about, oh, all right, I have this passion, but how do I get myself out there? And people was like, oh, I don't know how to network. And I always thought network was such a weird word. I mean, I think networking really is just like a really overly professional way of saying making a lot of friends. And it's not necessarily, if I'm a graphic designer, I don't network. I don't go out of my way to go to like a graphic design club. I go to clubs that I'm really passionate about. And I just happen to drop the fact that, oh, hey, I happen to graphic design. Here's some of my work. I just I don't force it. I'm not like the first meeting, like, hey, look at my portfolio, isn't this great? Why don't you hire me for some work? But I add these people on Facebook, and then they end up saying, oh wow, this guy, he makes cool stuff, and that's great because then all these other things that you're passionate about, they want work done for that specific club or that specific kind of activity, and so suddenly you're designing or you're creating content for this group of people that are passionate about the same thing as you are. Really, I mentioned this before, but I think this is so important. There are so many people that are ridiculously talented who are graduating or are like just in school right now, and they're having to struggle to get work. And it's because they focus so much on their craft that they're not focusing on their own personality. Like if you're warm, if you genuinely care about other people, every person you talk to, you just love them as much as possible, and that resonates with them. And then they want to work with you. Even maybe there are like 3 other people that could design way better than you, but your personality had resonated with them so strongly that suddenly it's like, well, Daniel's just such a nice guy. I'll ask him to design my poster. I can trust him. Also, branding super important.
Building off of that, getting yourself out there. I would say, kind of like you said, you have to do something to be it. If you want to get yourself out there, then just get yourself out there. Just let people know that you draw, or whatever. Don't be self-conscious in what you do. Just walk it out. You do it. And other people around me, like everyone knew I drew and I painted, but I never pursued it until recently. So other people were calling me an artist before I considered myself an artist. So when you're talking about I don't know how to get myself out there, just be it. Just let people see this is who I am, this is what I do. Also, you guys are awesome. Like, you guys make me so proud to come from this school. Like, all your dreams and everything. I just want to, like, applaud you. That's awesome.
The immediate practical advice I could give after doing absolutely the wrong way going about this is save everything that you do. If you're a photographer, especially, keyword that shit immediately so you know how to find it, how to reference it, because you never know when your old work is going to be needed, when you could even be inspired by stuff you did way back when. And in a lot of ways, developing as an artist is seeing where you've come from and where you are now. And having that marker, seeing that you've developed is really important. I'm going to say branding is really important too. I actually started off doing nightlife, like you were talking about, and I hated it. I was miserable all the time. I was getting paid, but you know, I had no desire to grow or develop. And then once I started doing other stuff, I fell into taking photos at parties, and from there I got into festivals, and I wasn't getting paid at all, but I really loved what I was doing. And the passion that I put into my work, people saw, and that's when I started getting work, when I started caring more about what I was doing, how I was acting in the moment, than getting paid or the bottom line, what I was getting out of it. Yeah, and for a while, because I had this little bunny on the corner of all my photos, and I'd walk around with a bunny hat at festivals. People started knowing me as that bunny guy, Beaner, and that's how I started getting work, and people started responding to what I was doing. So you don't have to wear a funny hat or do a gimmick, but you know, be recognizable, let people know who you are, and most importantly, be yourself.
I think it's kind of important, whatever your passion is, to join like some sort of small cohort of people that do the same thing, specifically to like watch how they brand themselves. Because like through this like yo-yoing thing, there's like 1,000 people that yo-yo. So when I go to a yo-yo contest, I see all of these friends of mine that have made yo-yo companies for themselves, that have put branding on their yo-yos, that CNC machine their yo-yos, that have created this small little company. And I can watch them progress and fall apart and learn from them. But there's a question attached to that. Do we have any sort of, I guess, like social media on the internet for like hermits of UCF?
I think that was coming up. Like somebody said, there's an audio engineering club that's just started. Dylan started that. But there's so many people that sing and do music here. Is there a RSO for musicians and singers on this campus? Does anybody know?
I don't think so.
And I don't know, is there a creators, UCF starters, you should all be following that on Facebook, but I'm thinking there might be something for the artist community that could rise up and be, you know, an RSO or something that brings together artists on campus. We say, when we study the ecosystems of where creativity and innovation flourishes, we see that there are lots of loosely coupled organizations that can accelerate because of connectivity. So you guys know the acceleration that comes from being around people. That's what I have my PhD in, right? Life PhD, to accelerate. You guys could accelerate each other by just coming together and deciding that there's an RSO here so that people can connect in. All artists, right? And don't vertical out, and then maybe groups could come up. That would have to be something that would come from you guys as artists. I would support you. I would do anything you need to have happen, but it's got to happen to accelerate your guys' big dreams, right? So I would think about that. I think that was a great question.
That's actually mirror to what my future goal is with my career of the co-op. I think I've mentioned it a few times. But right now I'm in the process of trying to launch a survey. So I would appreciate if anyone's willing to just write down their email, and I can launch this survey and just ask just general artist questions about where everyone's at on their opinions and stuff.
Yeah, because I think out of this group, maybe someone wants to, if you guys decide that an RSO could come out of it, like the UCF Fashion Network has come up because we brought a lady in that was Ralph Lauren's tailor. They all got together at that event, and then they just decided they needed a UCF Fashion Network. They now have a meeting every month or every 2 weeks over in the CEL. We found them a room. We helped them get an advisor. We'd help them get their first people, and they're off and going, and they're connecting to the downtown thing. So, not forced. It would be free will. It would need to come from this group. It's not one business. It would be an organization on this campus. Go ahead, Phil.
Oh, Paladin has a question.
I know there's like Code Plus Design and GDSA. That might be Code Plus Design is a web pro. Like they have artists and graphic designers in there. They do web programming. But I had a question for you guys. I like storytelling. Like that's what I love storytelling, whether it's in marketing or photography. I just find the image and tell a story through it. So I'm doing that for a nonprofit. What I'm discovering, I'm building them a website to gain some more funding. What I'm discovering is there's not a lot of themes or a lot of resources tailored for nonprofits that are actually good. Like there's a lot of creative one-page portfolios for like agencies on Thingiverse. Like that, I can find 10,000 of those. Whenever I need something for nonprofits, it's like there's nothing out there. So do you know any creative tools that are like geared towards nonprofit out there, or artistic tools or anything?
To do specifically online?
Do specifically for online websites. So there's a lot. So specifically, there's a lot of themes for creative agencies or plugins for galleries and all that good stuff. But when it comes to like a nonprofit thing, there's like 10, and then they're just like not that good.
I think that's a difficult one because I think when even the word nonprofit
or a charity, this is
right,
a charity, yeah.
You know, I think this would be a great time to advantage yourself of volunteer work, people who are interested in improving their skills, but then you have to balance that out with, you know, if you're getting work for free or for a reduced price, and the quality of that work may not be as great, but on the same end, you're supporting someone who's developing as an artist, so.
I have a really specific piece of advice. Find 10 websites that inspire you. Like, don't worry about making the best nonprofit website. Just make one that's pretty damn good, and then use WordPress Theme Detector to see what they use, and then just copy it.
If you know code, you can actually just like dip into the HTML in the web browser, and I'm not suggesting you steal it, but you can definitely be inspired by it.
Heavily inspired. Yeah, so I think Pam touched on something extremely important. Community. There have been so many ventures. If you've seen the posts, the stands outside of this room, like I made $75,000, my company is this successful. That's because people came together in this room, were close to each other physically, and kept meeting and kept engaging with community. And so if you're an artist, the best piece of advice I can say is find other people who are passionate and have the same vision as you. Spend as much time with them as possible. Beautiful things are going to come up. And engage the Launchpad as much as you can as well, because we have so many business people in here who need logos, who need promotional videos, and we can't just use some song from like Taylor Swift or whatever, because you need to pay for that. So we need custom music, we need custom graphics, we need videos, we need graphics, we need so much. And primarily in the Launchpad, we have a lot of business people, and the business community can't thrive without the art community. That's what you need for every company. You need someone who builds, someone who markets, and someone who leads. So if I give you any one piece of advice, find community, come back to the Launchpad, and join some kind of RSO, start an RSO. So.
A lot of you are looking to get connected to things. Soon there will be a new app. One of our community partners is launching an app called Fabric, where you'll be able to put in your own profile if you're a UCF student and say what you need and what you're looking for. It's going to be free. It's a part of the give back from a successful student venture that's up and running. That app's going to break in the next 2 weeks. Make sure you're on our email list, because it'll be breaking in here, and then we'll give you out the access to it. You'll have to have a UCF email to get access to it. So that'll be a connectivity tool. Second, those of you that haven't come in and met with a coach, that's free, confidential, and all kinds of resources come when you work through the Launchpad. As you get further and further along, we can accelerate you by either introductions to resources, money, or people. So if we can help you, that's another thing. Third, I hope somebody here will stand up and say, I want to be the one that starts the RSO for artists on this campus, because it could be really cool. And then I will go down to United Artists, and I will reach out to the other bridges in town, and I will bridge those back here. But I cannot be the person that starts the RSO. That has to come from you guys. Part of my job is to get you guys to have resourcefulness muscles, because resourcefulness is what is going to drive your passion and seeing it through. So if someone starts that, I'll get the bridges back to it, and I'll accelerate your success on that. Okay? John?
All right. So after every workshop, we like to take a group photo for Instagram. But for that, if you would like to get on our newsletter, please see me or one of the other fellows that works here. Also, if you want to get up the UCS starters, get a free headshot and a interview about what you're working on, see me as well. We're going to get an appointment, see Isaiah or Valerie over here. And let's get to the front so we can take a photo. All right.
Yes, I saw it. Thank you.
All right. Please form rows as you will all not fit in the photo. You are so wide. You are.
Student, you gotta get like happy together. Happy together.
I'm gonna go for that.
Alright, we're gonna take one serious and then one fun. Alright, 1, 2, 3. Alright, thank you. Alright, and now let's do fun. You guys like use expressions or some hand gestures or something that's funny? Pose. Get weird. Yeah, get weird. Get weird. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Thank you. That's good. Alright, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I wish I didn't look at my doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have you type in your first name. Anyone else need an appointment? Here.
I tried it it's all about for like
It's like knowing how things is together, like knowing how
I need to talk to you guys. I went, hey, I need to talk to you guys. I'll trade for like, they're flying, backside or half of and I got like, bigger license,
Hey, how are you?